back talking a little Jets football today. It's our Jets Insider segment brought to you by our friends at Mayberry Automotive, the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget, bang that little subscribe button. It's the red one with the black little thing in the middle thing. It looks like a play button. Fantastic. We'd love for you to become part of our growing community. When we talk all things Jets, we go inside with our Jets Insider from ESPN New York and the Jake Asman Show. It's the one, the only Jake Asman. What's up, Jake?
Gentlemen, 2 wins in a row for the New York Jets. Do you believe in miracles?
They're streaking. 2 of the hottest teams in football going to play on Thursday night. We'll get all into it. Break it down, Jake. But yeah, let's talk about the winning streak first, and then we'll get into some of the peripheral things. So what's going right now in Jets Nation that they've been able to string a couple together?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is you just look at the defense, and I know in the Bengals win, they still allowed a lot of points, but they got the big stop late in that game, and they got the big stop late a few times to get the ball back to the offense to give them a chance to cap the comeback. And earlier in the year, the Jets had chances to win the game if their defense could get a stop, and they couldn't. So you saw that in Cincinnati, and it carried over against the Browns. Now, some of that is you're playing the Browns, and Dylan Gabriel's not a very good quarterback, but the Jet defense showed up, and they had every reason to maybe lie down and not be motivated following a bye week, and Quinnen and Sauce both being traded off that unit. So I think the defense playing a lot better has been the biggest catalyst, and Breece Hall's been outstanding for them. I mean, if you take out the screen pass that Breece converted into a touchdown in the win over the Browns, Justin Fields would have finished with like 12 passing yards. So it's really been Breece, the offensive line, and I would say the defense is like the biggest thing for these, this winning streak, or at least the 2 games in a row they've won going into this one against New England tomorrow night.
And here's the beautiful thing that Aaron Glenn has gotten by it. So what about that? To everything you just said here, Jake, it would have been very easy for the team to roll over after trading away Quinnen, trading Sauce. Jets historically, as you pointed out on our show last week, the bye week record, which has been awful. So AG already has as many wins as the previous 9 seasons of Jets coaches combined. So he's off to a great start there, but it seems like they're playing hard for him, and ultimately wins, regardless of whether it's RIT Technical Institute here or the New England Patriots. He's been stacking a couple wins together here.
Yeah, look, it's better than losing, right? I think now we get a real litmus test. Is it just the opponents, or is there something more? Because tomorrow, no one's going to give them a chance. You're down Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields, in 3 of his last 4 games started, has had under 100 passing yards, right? And half his starts this year, he's had under 60 passing yards. So assuming he starts, which I guess he is, even though the head coach won't announce who the quarterback is, I'd imagine the leash would be short if it is Fields. You would have to go to Tyrod Taylor if Fields just doesn't have it. Let's see how they look. Let's see how they respond. No Garrett Wilson. It's a tough game to picture the Jets staying competitive in, let alone winning. So I think tomorrow is another opportunity for the Jets to prove a lot of people wrong, or show that these wins over the Ohio teams aren't just because you're playing bad teams, and maybe you are starting to turn the corner and, look like a real football team.
Tell us about the Garrett Wilson injury. I mean, I guess apparently if we need an update, we should go see Rich Cimini, the beat writer for the Jets, according to Aaron Glenn. But what's going on with Wilson? I understand it's a knee, and how many weeks are they even projecting at this point?
Yeah, I mean, look, Rich Cimini is the guy that we have to talk to for all injuries. He's the de facto injury czar now. That's his new title on the Jet coaching staff. So I guess it's 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know if he's going to go on IR, though. I mean, we got to ask Rich. So I texted Rich. I'm waiting to hear. So I got an answer. I'll let you know.
Well, it's troubling that Garrett Wilson is going to be missing some period of time, whether it's Rich or AG or anybody that's sharing that intel here on the channel. But now the Jets are going to have to rely, I imagine, on the young bucks. Jake, we have not seen the debut of Adonai Mitchell. We did see a brief appearance of John Mechie III. Obviously, they've had Arian Smith throughout the entire offseason here. And then they have a couple of those veterans that are sort of hanging around, and Tyler Johnson and Alan Lazard. Is that any point of, hey, with Garrett out, which stinks, there's no silver lining to that. Now you get to fully evaluate the young wide receivers and see if anyone's worth sort of building around here next to Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, let's see if they have just a couple of plays for AD Mitchell, or is he going to be like a real focal part of the offense. We saw Mechie, they only had like a couple of plays for him. And it's tough that it's a short week and you lose Garrett because they need all the practice time possible for these new receivers. And they just don't get it when you have a short week. You basically don't even practice. It's more of a walkthrough before you travel up and get ready for the game. So I think it will be fascinating to see how they deploy those guys. If not this game, then the 7 ensuing games after. We're in evaluation mode. Do they have the number 2 wide receiver for 2026 on the roster now? If they don't, do they have the number 3 2026 wide receiver on the team right now? We're basically looking to see over these final 8 weeks who's going to be here for 2026. It's like an extension of the preseason in a way. And one of the things with the quarterback situation too, Paul, it's almost tough to evaluate some of these guys. If Justin Fields can only complete 2 passes in front of the line of scrimmage, which is what he did in this win over Cleveland Sunday, how do you know what you have if you're not giving opportunities to these young players on your roster to make plays? So that's another problem as well.
Jake, the Jets, when they made that trade, sending Sauce Gardner off, everybody, of course, is looking at the draft picks and the future and what it could mean. But it sounds like Jets brass were really excited about the idea, the prospect of A.D. Mitchell. So what is it that they were so intrigued about? Because so far as a pro, he hasn't done all that much, although this is a very young player.
Yeah, second-round pick, talented guy. He's got size and speed that, you look at, what that projects to. You could see why, he was thought to be a borderline first-round pick that ended up going in round 2. I loved him at Texas. I mean, how many big plays did he make on that Texas team that went far into the playoffs a couple of years ago? So, look, to me, he's a guy that you bet on the talent. It didn't cost you anything. He was in a crowded receiver room in Indy. He kind of fell into the doghouse after he pulled the old Malachi Corley that Jet fans know all too well. So we'll see. I mean, look, the bottom line is this. They had a bad wide receiver room with the Jets with Garrett included. Without him, I mean, it's easily, to me, the worst in the NFL. So they now have an opportunity with some new talent coming in that if they show anything, they're going to get a real fair shake and an opportunity to go out there and play.
So, Jake, who should be starting at quarterback on Thursday Night Football? Maybe we should be asking this guy instead of you, I guess. Rich Cimini with a headset on for who the hell should be playing quarterback here for the Jets. But it has been Justin Fields. But Rich Cimini, another report, which I'm sure AG was thrilled about, was that AG was leaning towards Tyrod Taylor ahead of that Week 8 Cincinnati Bengals game. And they never got a chance to announce it because Tyrod Taylor ended up being too hurt to even play. So he couldn't have turned to him even if he wanted to. So he had no choice, went to Justin Fields. Justin Fields had a very decent game against Cincinnati. Then we have the bye week. And then he was terrible against Cleveland, but good enough to win the game. So on a short week, did the Jets just say, you know what, Tyrod has to be better than this? So in terms of, to your point, evaluating the receivers and being a little bit more plus in the passing game, do they just go to Tyrod Taylor here on a short week? Again, you or Rich, whoever answers first.
I would start Tyrod Taylor. I think Glenn's going to stick with Fields, though, and the leash, I hope, is short. I hope he's learned from the London game, and if Fields just doesn't have it, make a change. I've compared Justin Fields to like a starting pitcher that you just know, not his night, doesn't have his best stuff. Like you're going to start 30 times throughout the baseball season, maybe 5 or 6 of them, you just don't have it. Like it's going to be a short night. You're going to go to the bullpen. Like it is what it is. There's no like middle ground with Fields. It's either he's really, really good like Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, or he's just terrible. And like in 50% of his starts, he's had under 60 yards passing. It's like unheard of what we have seen there. So I think it's going to be Fields because it is a short week, but Tyrod could definitely come into this game if Justin Fields looks like he just doesn't have it.
Jake, one of the things I'm surprised we haven't seen, especially with the recent developments of Fields being, as you say, good and bad and bad and good. Is it Dr. Jekyll? Is it Mr. Hyde? Is the Jets not really going all in on the running thing? You know, I mean, let's face it, this guy has gotten loose in some games in the past, for the Steelers and for other teams that he's played. And he's capable of being a running back. He's capable of running for 150 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Doesn't seem like the Jets have explored that in depth. Any reason behind that? Or what are your thoughts about how the Jets have actually used Fields?
Yeah, I have been so disappointed with the game plans for these games. We were sold that Justin Fields in this offense was going to be smash mouth, ground and pound, and they were going to be able to tap into what Fields does so well with his legs to open things up in the passing game. They don't do that. Like he is not a good drop back quarterback, and that's what he's done. And maybe it has something to do with the concussion that he suffered in week 2.
Right.
Fields himself is not taking off and running as much as I thought he would. Like when the play breaks down, I thought he would look to run. It feels like he's not looking to even just make plays on his own when there's opportunities to go out there and do so. They haven't called a ton of design runs, to your point, Jim. So I've been incredibly disappointed with Tanner Engstrand and the offensive game plans around Fields. I don't know why we haven't seen more of it, but I think this is a game tomorrow, for example, where what do you have to lose, man? You tell Justin Fields, hey, we need you to make plays with your legs, man. We need you to be aggressive. We need you to lower your shoulder. And you know what? If you get banged up, it is what it is. You get an extra couple days to prepare before the Ravens game because you're playing in a short week. I just feel like their only chance of staying in this game is to kind of do what we're talking about, utilize what Fields can do with his legs and hope that maybe opens some things up in your passing attack. Can they throw more screens? I mean, we've been screaming for it all year. They finally hit it with Breece Hall with cover 0 coming, and it worked. Like, they need more of that from the play calling to have a chance in this one.
Again, we're speaking with Jake Asman, ESPN New York, the Jake Asman Show, for gosh sake, here on the program, which is terrific here, Jake. Now, Jake, we've seen a lot of losing as Jet fans, but we've also seen surprising upsets when we expect it the least. Visualize it for me. The Jets upsetting the New England Patriots, sort of the blueprint to what we're talking about. And also, like, how surprising would it? How much of a chance would you actually give the Jets of pulling off this upset? Because the Patriots have won 7 in a row, but they're not going to go 15-2. Like, they're a young team. They could have a hiccup here where they, sort of, have
just saw what happened to the Bills this past
100%.
Weekend. It can happen.
So,
for sure.
Things can happen. We just saw in our division. So, Jake, I'm going a little higher register, but give us the blueprint here and also where this would rank among the most surprising Jets victories you've seen over the last decade or so.
Yeah, this would be, I mean, this would be number one, right? I mean,
Wow.
I can't really think of, like, when they beat the Eagles a couple of years ago with Zach Wilson and the Eagles were 6-0 at the time. Like, that was a big surprise, but like, that Jet team had a lot of talent on it, right? Like we've seen that Jet team, go in the Lambeau and beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers and win in Denver the previous year. Like, so that was probably like the last truly shocking Jet win I could think of, right? I mean, they beat Houston on Halloween last year, but that wasn't a great Texans team. I think the Jets were oddly a slight favorite, which everyone was like, how? They're 2-6, and they won that night. This to me would be as shocking of a Jet win as we've had. I mean, they have not won as this big of an underdog on the road in a game that actually has fans in the building, I believe, since the regular season win against the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2010. I think Michael Nani of JetX had that stat. If you remember, they beat the Rams in 2020, and that was the infamous, we're not going to get Trevor Lawrence because of that win. But there were no fans in the stadium for that one. So it's a little different, right? So this would be shocking if they won. I'm not even asking them to win. Can you just not get embarrassed? Can we not do the Jets being embarrassed on the national stage, LOL Jets thing that we're going to have to hear about? Like, just be competitive. Show that these last 2 wins actually mattered and take some pride up against a division opponent and show up. That's what I'm hoping happens. It's just tough to feel great about that given what they've been getting from the quarterback position. Like, Justin Fields against any other team probably loses that game. I mean, the Jets, just to beat the Browns, needed 2 special teams touchdowns. You can't bank on that tomorrow, but that would be kind of the formula to have a chance, right? Special teams gives you a huge boost. Your defense comes up with at least 1, if not more, takeaways to set the offense up with a short field. Your kicking game needs to be outstanding as it's been all year, and someone's got to step up that we're not thinking of on offense. Maybe it's A.D. Mitchell or Mechie or someone like that. Fields has this great outlier game where he's running and making plays. Something like that all kind of has to happen for you to have a chance, I think, to steal this one. I just want them to hopefully not be embarrassed.
Talking with Jake Asman, Jake Asman Show, ESPN New York. It's the Manchild Show with Boyd Green Digital. Pop that subscribe button right now while you got a second. Jake, let me ask you this. Obviously, Drake May has evolved. This is a young quarterback who clearly has an upward trajectory, and this year is really, he's clicking with his coach. He's clicking with his receivers. It all seems to be coming together. Boy Green says, well, they can't go 15-2. Hey, if they do go 15-2, this guy probably is a legit MVP candidate. I mean, that is top of the rung, top of the ladder. One of my students in my class last night laughed at me because I laughed at him earlier when we did a sports talk radio exercise, and he dared to say that he thought Drake May was an MVP candidate. That was at the very beginning of the season. I was like, come on, pal. He's going to be better, but MVP candidate. This is becoming more and more legit. So what have you seen from Drake May that is making a difference here in 2025?
Yeah, look, I mean, right now he's one of the betting favorites to win an MVP award. That's how good he's been. I mean, this is a guy that's had a bunch of games this year with a 75% completion percentage at 2 touchdown passes or more. He's top 3 in completion percentage, passing touchdowns, passing yards. I mean, they've won 7 straight. And what concerns me, guys, is the Jets have used man coverage at the second highest rate in the NFL. That's 58% of the time. And Aaron Glenn's defense, they've surrendered an 82 total QBR when using man coverage. And Drake May against man coverage this year, he's excellent. So to me, it's not a great matchup from that standpoint. So I don't feel great about that. And look, May continues to improve. It helps when you have a really good offensive play caller and Josh McDaniels. Obviously, they've gotten a lot from their rookies. The O-line has been, I think, better than some thought it was going to be. Henderson looks like a legit back. Diggs has had a renaissance type of year on the outside for them. So, look, they got a really good team. I think it starts with Vrabel, though. He's an outstanding coach. It's why, as a Jet fan, I was so gung-ho on him being by far and away the best choice for the Jets. And, of course, he goes to New England.
Well, speaking of all that, we have that bad blood that exists. Drake May spoke to the media yesterday, and when he was asked his final question, he said, obviously there's bad blood here between the Jets and Patriots. There's always bad blood when it's Jets and Patriots. And I'm writing a story for Heavy that's going to come out this week about it, and you just talk about all those flavors, and then you go to what you just said, that there have been new chapters to the story. There's been butt fumble and Spygate, and I'm not kissing Belichick's ring. And there's been all these different, machinations of it. And then you go to the latest, right? Mike Vrabel's first interview as a head coaching candidate this cycle is with the New York Jets. And then he spurns the Jets and goes to the New England Patriots. Connor Hughes said on Jets Final Drive yesterday that the Jets made one last ditch effort as Vrabel was driving to the Patriots facility to sign this deal. The Jets called him and said, what else can we do? More money, more power, contract, or anything. We'll do whatever it takes to get you. And apparently, obviously, he declined and moved on. But Aaron Glenn, when he was the Lions defensive coordinator, the Patriots apparently requested to interview him. And he said, no, thanks. I'm good. And that revved Jet fans' engine said, oh, man, we hope we hire this guy. The guy rejected the Patriots. So there's a lot of new flavors here. Do you have a favorite chapter of this storied bad blood Jets-Patriot rivalry?
Yeah, my favorite chapter is January 16th, 2011. Like where the Jets beat them in the playoffs. That's it. I mean, the Jets kicking their ass in the home opener last year that I was at was awesome too. Yeah. I left MetLife that night. Jets 2-1. Rodgers played great, looked healthy, running around. And I'm thinking, wow, we finally got a good team. Like, let's go, man. Like, I can't wait for the season. Like, we finally are going to have some fun this year. And then it all fell apart. So it was short-lived, but I mean, the best Patriot memory I have is the win over them in the playoffs in Rex Ryan's second straight trip to the championship game after they lost 45-3 to them earlier that year in Foxborough. So that's number one. The win over them in 2015 was great with Fitzpatrick to Decker in overtime. The win in Rex's first ever home game against them in 2009 when the old Giant Stadium was so loud. It was unbelievable, that atmosphere. They beat them in 2010 at MetLife after losing to the Ravens on Monday Night Football to start that year. So that was a huge win to get the Jets back on track and start their ascension to an 11-win season. There just hasn't been a ton. I mean, I think I saw the stat that since 2016, the Patriots are 16-2 against the Jets. One of the wins is last year in the Jet home opener, and the other is Belichick's last game when Brees Hall went crazy against them in the snow. So there hasn't been a ton of late. If they could get it tomorrow, that would be shocking and would clearly be the signature win of the Aaron Glenn era so far.
Manchild Show with Boyd Green inside the Jets. We're talking with Jake Asman, our Jets insider. Today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. Let's just take 30 seconds to learn a little bit more about our friends from Bayberry.
Integrity is a word that some people just throw around in life. But at Bayberry Automotive, integrity is everything. Integrity of their mechanics, who are all experienced and certified. Integrity in the work they perform, with nothing but 5-star reviews from satisfied customers on Google. Integrity that goes along with family, a family-run business that treats you like one of their own. Integrity in everything. Bayberry Automotive. BayberryAutomotive.com.
Located on Route 57 across from Bayberry Plaza, the premier choice for auto repair in Liverpool.
And now second location on Morgan Road in Liverpool as well, just a couple of miles from their current location. So plenty of appointments available with our friends at Bayberry. All right, talking with Jake Assman, all things Jets, talking about the Jets-Patriots rivalry, a little Thursday night throwdown. You know, the one thing about Thursday night games, Jake, they're unconventional. We've seen some weird ones, low scoring. I mean, this could be the kind of tussle perhaps the Jets might want. Maybe the short week is good to the Jets in a lot of ways. Let's talk about that possibility.
I think it could go one of two ways, right? Like the short week could be good for the Jets because you just get back out there right away. Vrabel, who's a master, game planner, you don't really get a ton of time to game plan. Or it could work the opposite for the Jets, right? No Garrett Wilson, and you don't have enough time to really get A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie up to speed. You are back out there, and you're on the road, and we know that the home team on Thursday Night Football is at a distinct advantage not having to travel. So I could see it really going either way. I think the biggest question I have is just the Jet quarterback situation, right? Like I think the Jet defense could show up and they could give themselves a chance to hang around in this. But what am I getting from Fields? If I get the version I saw from Justin Fields on Sunday against the Browns, they're going to lose by 3 touchdowns. Like it's not sustainable to win games that way. I know they won, and Glenn wanted to say, well, he only threw 11 passes. Like, come on, man. Like we have eyes. Like he was horrific. It was Zach Wilson level of bad. So I think that's the concern, right? What version of the quarterback do you get from a Jets standpoint? If you told me Fields plays well, I think the Jets O-line, Breece Hall, I think the defense, if they show up, special teams giving them a boost, they could hang around. They could cover a 12.5-point spread. But the number's the number because of just how inconsistent and how awful 3 of the last 4 starts we've seen from Fields have been.
Yeah, that's what I echo as well. Again, yeah, sure. Justin Fields only threw 11 passes, but you would think if he was more efficient and better that you would want to throw even more passes, but they didn't for all those reasons that you already mentioned. This was from last week, but obviously progresses forward. Oh, Will McDonald had a farm EIEI 4 sacks. Unbelievable, which is tied for the most in a single game in Jets franchise history of Mark Gastineau and John Abraham. I've heard of those guys before. Will McDonald, he's a intriguing player, but there are these hot and cold streaks with him coming up, Jake. With Will McDonald as a player, the Jets have to make a decision on his 5th-year option in May. It seems like an easy accept because when he's right and at his position, he's one of the most dominant pass rushers in the National Football League.
Yeah, I think, like, to me, that's the big question with all this, right? Like, it's just, once again, though, I keep coming back to the fact, if you guaranteed me competency at the quarterback spot, I don't think talent-wise New England is just that much better than the Jets. I keep falling back on that. They're better than I thought. I think it's coaching and quarterback that makes such a difference. This is the same Patriot team that with a win now tomorrow night, BG, they've now passed their projected over-under win total, and we still have half a season left. So I just think you could break down all angles of the game. You could talk about certain players. Comes down to Fields. And if it's not Fields, Tyrod. And the big thing I want to see from Glenn, if you're going to go with Fields, better be a short leash, because you could see with Fields like a starting pitcher in baseball, whether he has it or doesn't have it. If he doesn't have it, guess what? You got to go to Tyrod and give your team a chance.
Jake, as you know, I'm a diehard Giants fan. Obviously, a little bit of turmoil in Giantsville this week. A coach fired. Looks like, at least for now, the GM going to head up the search. So that would give me the assumption that the GM's hanging around, unless they just can him after he does the search, which seems to make no sense to me. But stranger things have happened. What's the scuttlebutt in Jets Nation about the Giants situation? And if Jake Assman could choose a coach for my Giants, who might it be?
Yeah, I would say this. The Giants getting rid of Dable is the right move. Retaining Shane, I think, is a colossal mistake. To me, that's the same thing the Jets did when they fired Bowles and kept Mike McCagnon. When the Jets fired Tannenbaum and kept Rex, you want your coach and GM to be on the same timeline. You don't want them to be separated. And Shane, to me, has not done enough to warrant coming back. His draft picks have not been good enough. His trades have not been good enough. Letting Saquon walk, letting McKinley walk, like the list goes on and on. While he certainly can just get credit for some of the moves that have worked, I don't think it's been enough to justify him keeping his job. And who hired Dable, right? So now you want Joe Shane overseeing another head coaching search. I think the job is more attractive if you had both positions open. I wonder if there'll be coaching candidates, kind of like what happened with Trent Baalke in Jacksonville, who say, yeah, I'm not not going to take this job if he's around. You got to get rid of him and allow me to pick with the guy I want to work with. Kind of like what the Jets did with Glenn. He basically picked Muji as his guy he'd work with. And, the final decision maker is Aaron Glenn. I just think it's a mistake to keep Shane around. I would get rid of him with Dable, which they already did.
Yeah, the final shoe may not have dropped on this. I mean, I've been reading more and more stuff and hearing more and more scuttlebutt from insiders that, they might not really be truly decided, but they have to move forward. So what do you do if, PR 101, hey, this guy's now in charge of the search. If you put somebody else in charge of the search, it's pretty clear what's going to happen. So you give yourself that possibility. You let him go to work, but ultimately, probably the two owners have the stamp of approval on whether or not they're going to keep a guy or not. And frankly, if you went out and got a Belichick or a Belichickian guy, I'm not saying Belichick, but it's certainly a possibility that's floating out there. A guy like that's going to want control, John Gruden, I don't know, Giant fans are out of their minds, but, John Gruden's name is being thrown all over the place. Again, a guy that would want control. Okay. He's not going to want to answer to a GM, especially a GM he's unfamiliar with. So if it's a coach with clout, you might have to give away that control anyway. So it may not be a done deal with Shane, but it is an intriguing situation that they only went one of the two. But it's always tough, Jake, to dismantle your scouting staff and your whole front office while in midseason, while you're also letting your coach go. It kind of can really put a franchise in disarray. And maybe that's what, John Mara and company were, trying not to do at this point.
Yeah, look, I think if the Giants are smart, they look at the rest of the season here and then assess Shane once again. You could start the process, but let's say down the stretch, this Giants team continues to look bad. There's no real improvements here by making the change to Dable. How could you justify a GM who is 2-8 for the third straight year and would finish the season with what? Maybe 4 wins after a 3-win season the prior year? To me, it makes no sense. Joe Shane has not done enough where I definitively need him to be a part of the next head coaching search. And, I think it might limit the capable candidates you get for a job that I think would be very attractive with the quarterback in place and some of the young talent that is on the roster if they just had a clean break from both coach and GM.
All right, Jake, you're uniquely qualified to answer this question because, we got Giants boy over here and I dabble in the Jets on occasion. So, okay, you could pick either the Jets or the Giants for the next 5 years. Who's more attractive? Who would you rather ride with if you could pick one or the other? I'm talking roster, picks, free agency, current construct, team, quarterback, all that jazz. If you could pick one or the other and you got a 5-year run window here, who would you choose and why?
Because I think Jackson Dart is going to be a good quarterback, I would take the Giants because right now we have no idea what the Jets' plan is at the quarterback spot. I think the Jets have a better roster. I think the Jets are set up to maybe find their quarterback with the 5 first-rounders over the next 2 years. I think the Jets have an offensive line that is in place, a number 1 receiver. But the Giants have some real players on offense, whether it be Neighbors or Scatterboo. And then you talk about the fact that they have Dart. That, to me, is the biggest factor in all this. And they do have some really good players still on defense. I know Abdul Carter has been disappointing, but I think he's still going to end up being really good. I mean, Brian Burns has been great this year. You got players there, but to me, it starts with quarterback. And I'm very down on Aaron Glenn still. I got to see a lot more. And at least the hope of the Giants getting a new coach, combined with the fact they seemingly already have the quarterback in place, I'd lean with the Giants if you made me pick one over the next 5 years.
Well, I guess we got to switch the background here, huh? Make it all giant blue land in here. What the hell, Jay? Come on, man.
Well, what would be your argument for the Jets, Paul? Because obviously, I would love to say the Jets as a Jet fan, but what would be the argument for the Jets over the next 5 years in the Giants right now?
Okay, first off, any logic or facts you bring, I just want to throw those out because I don't like them that you mentioned for that. So obviously understandable. Let's just put those right aside. How about 5 first-round picks, baby? We're armed and dangerous. Any situation presents itself, which was, in 2023, Aaron Rodgers just suddenly became available. The Jets were ready. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe some veteran quarterback's going to pop up. Jets could go in that direction. It's a crazy free agency thing. Jets are armed with cap space. They've got the draft picks, and I still feel very high on a bunch of their young players, whether that be Garrett Wilson or Will McDonald. The offensive line is in place. In Giants land, they got a bunch of creaky boards over there. They've been looking for offensive linemen for as long as I've been alive on this planet. So the fact that the Jets have that, and I think that's a massive piece of the puzzle, man. So hell? Screw the Giants. Jackson Dart, they got a quarterback. How long is he going to stay healthy? He's playing with reckless abandon out there. He's going to die on the football field, for God's sake. So sure, they have him for now. So did the Colts with Andrew Luck. So did the Bengals with Joe Burrow. And those guys, that direction, looking a little questionable, Jake Aspen.
You know what the Jets will probably do, Paul, is they'll go out and they'll expend a couple of those draft picks on Kyler Murray and give him a spin.
God.
I understand he's becoming available. I mean, gosh, man, don't touch that guy with a 10-foot pole, please. Don't. Okay, don't do that. But Jake's right. I mean, Jake's right in this sense. Picks are great, but you have to find your guy. And it does appear that the Giants may have found their guy, and the Giants and a lot of other teams have taken a spin. Kyler Murray is just another example of not just a first-round pick, a number 1 overall pick.
Sure.
The guy that is the reigning number 1 overall pick is on a lousy team, and who knows if he's even a franchise quarterback. We just it happens over and over and over again. Just because you have the first choice doesn't mean you make the right choice. And the Jets have a history of not making the right choice. So you hope that they can cash those things in for some really good things. But the number one thing, as Jake said, it has to be a franchise quarterback. Just has
where
to.
It starts. Yeah. And look, the picks are nice, but do you have faith in the Jets getting the right quarterback and then developing him? Like Tanner Angstrom hasn't done a good job with Justin Fields. Aaron Glenn said they're going to coach up Fields and let him play quarterback. And he's never played this bad. Like, look, I think Fields is terrible, but say whatever you want about him. He was never this bad at any stop in Chicago or Pittsburgh along the way. So I have major concerns with the coaching staff, and it's just such a crapshoot. Even if you have a good coaching staff to find a good quarterback. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, I think, is a great coach. Took Trey Lance. He got lucky. He also took Brock Purdy. I think the Jets should take 2 quarterbacks this year, and you could do it again next year. If you told me they took Fernando Mendoza round 1, they took Drew Aller in the 4th round, fine, man. Like, until the Jets get a quarterback, none of this matters. We've seen this. The Jets have had good teams the last few years, talent-wise, but they didn't have the quarterback. They took Zach Wilson, and we're still paying the price for that. So they have to get a quarterback. That's the biggest thing for this team going forward.
That it is, Jake Aspen. That it is. But I will, again, in Anchorman, well, we're going to have to agree to disagree on this giant BS that's happening here on the program. But
ask him an honest question. He gave you an honest answer.
Okay, there you go. Well, Jake's a straight shooter, man. That's why they pay him all that money over there at ESPN New York. Makes a lot of sense.
Jake, always
Wish
great
it was
to check
more.
in with you, man. Thanks again for spending a little time. We'll talk to you again next week.
Anytime, guys. Let's hope tomorrow's not a massacre, and that'd be nice.